So there is some drama going on between Hasan Piker and Nick Fuentes. Hasan Piker the other day called Nick Fuentes out and is basically acknowledging how popular Nick Fuentes has become in the recent months. And it's basically talking about, oh, how dangerous it is that Nick Fuentes is getting all this attention and he's trying to mislead the public. And he's basically saying like all of his viewers are dumb and that people like him are people you need to be listening to. So then Nick responds, and then Hasan responds, Nick responds. They keep going back and forth on their own show. So I just got some clips to show you kind of the beef between both of them. It's pretty funny to watch. We're gonna start with Hasan first and what he said on his YouTube I guess on Twitch, but it was a YouTube clip, and then I'll go to Nick and then back and forth. So if it's stuff you like, make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and let's just jump right into it.
Here's what I was going to talk about. Like,
also, I have Hasan's clip sped up a little bit because he kind of does the like Kamala Harris thing where he like tries to think while he's speaking and he stutters and it takes him forever. So I sped it up a little bit.
The insidious nature of people taking advantage of the void in discourse from like liberal and left advocates, well, not left advocates, but like liberal advocates for the Palestinian emancipatory movement has created this unique media landscape where like Nick Fuentes is coming across as like one of these major anti-Israel voices. And I think he recognizes that because, look, part of the reason why I don't cover Nick Fuentes is one, because he has been for a very long time utterly irrelevant, unfortunately, has been platformed and revitalized his career directly as a consequence of like hanging out with Molestany, who openly talked about how he gave him a lifeline. And then, you know, going all the way to like hanging out with Kanye and even dining with the current president. But ultimately, the other reason why I don't give him any, give him any platform whatsoever on this broadcast is because like he is a very dangerous orator, but a decent room reader as well, which is kind of insane to say about a dude who has in the past like obviously denied the Holocaust.
So 6 million cookies, I don't buy it.
And I assume he still does to this day.
Do you feel the same amount of empathy for the children in the Holocaust as you do for the children in Gaza today?
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that that's real.
And not only that, but also has, talked about like miscegenation being equivalent to like a white person marrying or having sex with an animal. Race mixing, he says, is the equivalent of bestiality. There is a target-rich environment. I mean, he has said a bunch of insane shit, right?
I think it's funny when Hasan starts by saying other people have said insane stuff when he literally has said that America deserved 9/11. Like, you're going to call out other people for insane things. And I think I honestly don't know if Nick legit denies the Holocaust or anything like that. I think he denies the amount of people that died in the Holocaust, but I don't think he denies that it actually happened. And I think it's one of those things where conspiracy theories exist for a reason, right? Conspiracies about the moon landing, about 9/11, Holocaust, anything you can think of, they exist for a reason. And I think what we've learned in today's society is that the government will lie to us to push a certain narrative. Like, no matter if it's the left or the right, like during the pandemic, it was these jabs are 100% safe and effective. You won't pass it on to anyone else. And then all these end up being lies. And then obviously, like, we'll back Israel no matter what. And it's like all these different things are willing to lie to us or mislead the public, and the media fully supports it too. And it pushes these false narratives that we all know are lies. So it's like, if you're still able to do that in a day and age where the information's everywhere, you can find any video anywhere online, like there's more information at your fingertips than ever before. How easy was it for them to do that 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago? Even 20 years ago it was easy. So I think it's just one of those things. I don't think he legit denies it ever happened. I think maybe he thinks the numbers were a little fibbed with.
But in the last couple of months, especially in the last year or so, he has become this figurehead that is a bold, loud, and proud anti-Israel voice. And in the process, a lot of the MAGA influence, and he's also criticized Donald Trump a lot. He criticized Donald Trump a lot as well, and he still continues to do so, saying Donald Trump is not aggressive enough with his mass deportation policies. But more so, if you look at this kind of stuff through the clip culture that we exist in, I explained it yesterday as like the bizarro Hassan hater industrial complex, where like my haters spend a good deal of time clipping me out of context to make me seem like a bad person, to make it seem as though I have like really bad opinions, really reactionary opinions or whatever, right? If you want to present me in a negative light to an audience that is reactionary, you point to some of the jokes that I make about leftist jokes that I make to say this, he's being sincere here. He wants to like kill all white people or whatever. If you want to make me look bad to like a pro-queer audience, you clip a weak moment of mine where I'm yelling at someone and you say he's transphobic. You want to clip me to a feminist audience, you go he's gone to a brothel. Like there are, it's a target-rich environment, right? The opposite is being done for Nick Fuentes by his fans. If you see him just online, and this has happened with like the Dan Bilzerians of the world as well, like many other content creators have been able to take advantage of the clip culture, the clip culture environment that exists by basically presenting themselves as like much more normal political figures that are like, if you watch him off of just clips that his audience is like pumping out on TikTok and on Twitter and whatnot, you would think he's like a left guy, you would think he's like left wing because like some of his commentary unironically comes across as progressive. And I think it's disingenuous. And I think he's doing that deliberately to basically farm a bunch of liberals who are anti-Israel to see him in a different light. This clip actually is a perfect example of what I'm talking about because it features the turning point in it as well. Because if you clip him in the first half, you think he's being progressive. And then in the second half, he actually reveals his true nature. Let's take a look.
I don't think Nick Fuentes ever tries to come off as progressive. I think the anti-Israel thing, he's been from the start. He literally got like censored off of all of any kind of media because of it. And the fact that like he's trying to say Nick Fuentes has been irrelevant this whole time, I think obviously he's been more popular now because ever since honestly Trump took office, the censorship's been a lot more lax. His clips are allowed on Instagram and TikTok now, or before they couldn't be. It's like kind of like an Alex Jones effect. Obviously, Rumble exists now. Rumble has become more and more popular, so people are finding him on there. Also, I'm on Rumble. If you guys want to follow me, make sure you look me up. But I think he's being kind of disingenuous where he's saying, oh, he used to be irrelevant and now he's relevant. And then the whole progressive thing, like I think points out a lot where the Trump administration hasn't really done much. Like I've voted for Trump 3 times and he definitely could be doing more. Mass deportations definitely aren't happening. He did close the border to his credit, so people aren't coming in. But now he's going to try to find these people, and maybe they're in hiding. Maybe it's harder than it seems. We're putting all this extra funding to ICE. It does seem to be at this point a little bit of a disappointment. But I think people like Hasan automatically think if you criticize the party you're generally connected with, that you're automatically like trying to just get views from the other side or get views from the left. Like I think like I genuinely lean conservative, but I will criticize Trump if it's needed. I will criticize Republicans if it's needed, which Republicans are pretty useless for the most part anyway. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's not Nick trying to like dive into this new audience and bring them over here. His views have been pretty consistent. It's just that he's tired of being lied to by the Trump admin. He's like, oh, Trump's too focused on this culture stuff and he's not focused on stuff that actually helps us. Like he's trying to basically say like, oh, he needs to be doing more and put pressure on the Trump admin. And I think with his following and with people seeing this more, he's definitely going to be a thorn in JD's side in 2028, I will say.
Names the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Ooh, because as Trump says, we're not just on defense, we're also on offense. Sounds a lot cooler. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm just getting so sick of the slop, man. I'm done with the slop. Is that all this administration can do? It seems like this administration does 2 things. It renames existing things, like the Gulf of Mexico, like the Persian Gulf, like military bases, like the Pentagon. It renames things.
Hassan, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Do you not understand what I'm doing here? I'm showing you a clear-cut example of how he presents himself from a clip that actually then shows his true nature. Because if you cut this clip at the halfway point, which many people do, right? Many of his fans do, you will your takeaway will be very different. Okay. Your takeaway will be, oh, this guy seems like he's anti-Trump and he's saying the same shit that I think. I'm explaining to you how propaganda is conducted. This is how historic fascism has operated as well. Not with 30-second clips, obviously, but historically, fascist movements have started off masquerading as left populist movements. Left populist movements for who? The designated in-group. Whether it be, ironically enough, Israel in its inception, which was supposed to be this socialist project, but for the chosen people, or whether it be Germany's National Socialist Party. The Nazis want...
So he's saying these past socialist groups, or he's saying that right now people like Nick are parading as like a socialist group when he's really a fascist group because of these other groups. it made me think that a lot of socialist groups just are fascist groups in the past, where he's saying these were just parading like it. They weren't actually, maybe they actually were. And you're trying to justify your movement now by saying they weren't really a part of that. Because if you think about it, like Israel does have universal health care. It's typically socialist. They have, I think, free college, typically socialist. The German party from the 30s and 40s, they had like, you guys remember Volkswagen? That was a government-owned car brand. That's socialist communists, like having government-owned things. So, and that's what Hassan wants. He wants to push for that, even though he's a millionaire and lives in $2 million home. He wants everyone else to be a part of this socialist thing, which obviously he does for clicks and views.
To do socialism, but for the Volk, the chosen people, the Aryan people, except they weren't really invested in socialism at all. They just used the momentum and the popularity, the existing popularity of left populist statements. That's it. It is a way to package a nefarious agenda that is inherently violent and also directly antithetical to any sort of socialist development. Mussolini, yes, Mussolini was literally a Marxist revisionist. Exactly. Here, listen to the first half and then listen to the second half. This is the reason why I pulled this clip is because it shows how he presents himself and what his actual real opinions are.
And it polices anti-Semitism. You can't get your FEMA rescue money. You can't get your Harvard grants and loans. You can't get citizenship or a visa in America. Is that all this administration can do? We were promised revolutionary change. We were promised vengeance. We were promised a golden age. And what we're getting is renaming things, and like the ADL is on steroids. The ADL is taking steroids. They're looks maxing. That's all this administration seems to do. Cracker Barrel, who could forget? I mean, think about it. That's all this administration does. They came in, they renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Oh, they renamed the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Gulf. They should have named it the Gulf of Israel, right? Changed the names of the military bases back to Fort Bragg. Take that. And now this, they took the Cracker Barrel logo, brought it back to the original. Now we're changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And look, if the Trump administration was actually doing things, this would be a cool bonus.
So, before you get to the last 30 seconds,
Look,
the first 2 minutes of this 2 minute and 34-second video comes across like he's anti-Trump, and he's saying that like the revolutionary changes that he promised, like uplifting American lives and all this stuff is just fake, and he's just simply pro-Israel, and he's just jiggling keys in front of his base of support. And a lot of those clips, a lot of his community recognize now that there is a major audience for this kind of commentary coming from a guy who is a fallen fan of Donald Trump. And I see this a lot in the comments, people going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Nick Fuentes. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Nick Fuentes. I'm a black liberal and I'm agreeing with Nick Fuentes. What the hell is happening? That's what's going on here. He has been...
See, the thing is, you follow someone and like what they say. You don't have to agree with every single thing they say. That's the thing where people don't realize that people on the left and right agree on a lot more than you realize. Like, I have a friend at work that's super liberal and we agree on a lot of things. And people like Hasan want you to be like, oh, don't follow this guy. You might agree with him here, but don't do that. Like, you can agree with something someone says, but not be like, oh, I don't fully support that, blah, 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 but he is right when it comes to this. He is right when it comes to this. And that doesn't mean like, oh, you fully support that person.
Able to capture the attention of so many people, him, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, many of these Republican right-wing commentary people on the independent media side have been able to capture the attention of so many liberals. And that comes from a void in the left flank. And it also stems from the reality that we are too predisposed with fighting against one another instead of ensuring that we have some semblance of messaging discipline on this issue. And also partially because the most moneyed side of the liberal media ecosystem is entirely pro-Israel. So when you do have a guy who is able to cut through the noise and develop a major audience online, someone like myself, they get tarred and feathered by dumb liberals and also even dumb leftists who believe the dumb liberals and the dumb Republicans. This is something that I tried to explain to people in the past where I was like, look, liberals, you did it. You did it. You successfully undermined your left flank. And in the process of doing that, of course, someone right-wing was going to rise up to the occasion and come across as a completely normal centrist, right? That's the Asmongold phenomena. The most consequential aspect of like the destinies of the world consistently coming after me for their own personal narcissistic vengeance quest has made it so that I have so many ridiculous claims that are completely made up about me swirling around in the ecosystem for all of the dumb apolitical people to tune into, with a network of slop tubers that are constantly pumping out this kind of content, that ultimately people that don't actually get any sort of critical examination of their commentary or their worldview get to rise up to the top. This is part of the reason why I have regularly maintained this idea that unless it's like literally someone being pro-Israel, I'm just not going to spend a whole deal of time attacking even liberal content creators. When liberals are more predisposed with attacking their left flank for demonstrating true anti-fascist principles, then of course someone who presents themselves as a centrist like Asmongold.
You know, you're fair and neutral if everybody claims that you're attacking either side. Yeah, and I think that's the reason why I cover a lot of the like controversial topics, controversial people, because I think that if I don't cover it in a fair way, nobody will cover it in a fair way.
Is going to rise to the occasion and actually unironically build a momentum and an audience off of said liberals who now tune into him to think, well, he's at least better than Hassan. He's not dangerous radical like Hassan is. Meanwhile, Asmongold is also a pipeline to Nick Fuentes. This is it. So this message isn't for whoever you think it's for. It's not for like the molestiny type content creators. Okay, those guys are never going to change their behavior. This is for their audiences who do actually care about growing fascism in this country and have just been deluded into thinking that the most successful way to combat it is by attacking the left flank of the Democratic Party and assuming that people who are critical of the supposed left flank of American politics are actually critical because they have some sinister purpose behind it, because they want Donald Trump to win or some shit. I mean, this has historically happened post-World War II. It has happened leading up to World War II when fascist movements were growing. Liberals consistently engaging in appeasement for growing fascist movements out of fear that they're going to lose power, lose their grip on power, end up offering amenities and offering power to the fascists because they think they can just like wield some semblance of wield some power to I guess like maybe prevent full-blown fascist takeover. And it is a failure. It was a failure before World War II, and it has been an abject failure after World War II. That's why you see so many anti-communists end up directly, like anti-communist liberals, like Canada is a great example of this, like directly becoming a critical supply line for consistent fascist movements, because who are the most vicious post-World War II? Who were the most vicious and most successful anti-communists? Fascists were. The ones that weren't killed or the ones that weren't arrested post-World War II, they were immediately activated by liberals who wanted to engage in a Cold War, by liberal capitalist democracies that wanted to engage in a Cold War against the real scary enemy and keep the real scary enemy, the USSR, at bay. This is real dangerous. Now that I showed you the first 2 minutes, let's see what his actual opinions are.
So he did a little Kamala Harris thing there where he just rambled on about nothing. But earlier, before that whole ramble about nonsense, he was basically saying that the left is too busy attacking other people on the left, and then it leads to the rise of people like Nick Fuentes who come off like moderate or something like that. Like I said, you can be on the right and still criticize Trump. Like, he's literally proving the point. Like, he's trying to say, oh, the left is too busy dealing with the left, so then people on the right are rising. People on the right, your explanation for them rising is people on the right criticizing the right. So you're proving that the right does the same thing. Now, the right, I would argue, is more open to different opinions to an extent. Like, there's people on the right that aren't as fond of Israel, or they're more like, oh, let's stay by ourselves. And there's people on the right that just full on love Israel more than America. You know, there's people on the right that are more conservative than other people on the right, but I would argue they're probably more united for the most part versus the left, where you have like the establishment left, and then you have like the progressive left. That is a huge divide. Like, obviously Hassan's part of the progressive left, and then you have like establishment left people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and then Destiny probably leans more towards that moderate left. Like, he obviously attacks Hasan Piker a lot, and apparently Hasan Piker's very offended by that because he keeps mentioning it over and over again. But there's nothing wrong with addressing criticism where it's needed. Like, he seems more offended that people take clips of him out of context, or people like attack him all the time. Like, maybe your views just aren't that good. Maybe they're not, like, you just don't have that good of opinions, and that's why people attack you. And then he was saying things where like, oh, Nick and his following are posting these clips to make him look better, while my enemies post clips of me looking bad. Yeah, your followers try to post clips of you looking good too. It's just far and few between. And there's plenty of clips that try to make Nick look bad all over the internet. Like, you know how many clips I've seen of him saying the N-word, and everyone's like, oh my God, what did he just say? And it's funny he's talking about Nick's followers. Like, I've posted on my TikTok a few videos of Hasan Piker, and and they'll be out for like a month or two, like way later. The video's not even relevant anymore, and I'll get comments on it from Hasan Piker fans, like calling me out, attacking me, or doing all this stuff. Like he's got those weird fans too that are like all over everything he does, but then he's attacking like Nick for having fans like that. Makes no sense at all. It seems like he's more offended that people like other people like Nick more than him, and maybe if his views were better, it wouldn't be that way.
If the Trump administration was actually doing things, this would be a cool bonus. And maybe you could make a defense for it. No pun intended. Maybe there's a case to be made for this. But if you're not doing anything, like take a look around. The deportation's not happening. The legal immigration will continue. 600,000 Chinese students. War in Ukraine is, if anything, it's getting worse. We do this every night. I mean, you get it. The state of this administration, it's not making as much progress as it needs to be.
Yeah. Plays the first minutes, then he asked for 15 minutes before playing the last 15 seconds. Okay, brother. Yeah, I wonder why I did that. I did that to literally show you how this nefarious, cynical propaganda works. The first 2 minutes of it is all things that prime a liberal audience into finding Nick Fuentes totally appropriate, because his criticisms of Donald Trump are valid here in the first 2 minutes. The last 30 seconds, however, show his true perspective. Oh, Trump is not serious enough about the mass deportations. There are a million different videos like this all over.
See, what basically Hassan's trying to say here is people that just watch videos on the internet are stupid. So, or he's saying that they'll watch that first 2 minutes and then they'll scroll to the next video and be like, oh, I agree with that. Or they won't be able to see that, like, oh, he's criticizing Trump and also saying he's not doing enough, which is nothing wrong with doing. Like, I do think Trump is a little focused on all these like rebrandings, which aren't even relevant. Like, I think the whole Department of War thing is absolutely stupid. Like, he's supposed to be the anti-war candidate, but yeah, he's changing it to the Department of War. Yeah, that's definitely not a good look. And like, Nick brings a lot of good points all the time. Like, housing market is still horrible. Things are still unaffordable. I know Trump has been working really hard to try to get interest rates lower, which I think this month they might finally come down. But not much has really changed in the economy since Trump took office. Like, I like all the federal layoffs because I think our government is too overbloated. I like that he shut down the border. That's good. Mass deportations definitely aren't there. Like I said, you can criticize Trump. Like, Nick's criticizing Trump for all these stupid things, all saying he's not doing enough. That's a normal thing to do. And Hassan is calling it propaganda. Like, no, that's called a actually good political commentator. Like, you have people like Charlie Kirk who say some good things sometimes, but then you will never once hear him criticize Trump. It just will never happen. Benny Johnson, he will never criticize Trump. There's some people that never will. And Nick Fuentes will. And I think that makes you a more unbiased, good political commentator. And Hassan apparently thinks he's just trying to trick people. Oops. So this is Nick's first response to when he first was mentioned by Hassan. So that's pretty much Hassan's whole clip. He just does a little Kamala Harris ramble towards the end. And this is Nick's response.
Happens to be a big root cause of what's happening in Gaza and many of the things in America. They know that they would not survive the encounter. That's why they run and hide. Hasan Piker runs and hides because communism would not survive an encounter with the far right. It just wouldn't. All that sentimentalism, all that sappy, bleeding heart bullshit about free healthcare. Okay, we'll give you free healthcare too. I don't really care that much. I want to close the borders. I want to stop being harassed on the train. I want to be able to live in most of the city and not have to be a war zone. I don't want to have our country run by an Israeli fifth column, a Jewish fifth column. You would not survive that encounter, and you know that. And Hassan knows that if there were ever a dialogue, an ongoing dialogue, or even just a sit down, that whole fantasy, this bourgeois fucking champagne socialism would not survive an encounter with an actual real American, with an actual real American that's a son of working class people. And that's like the delicious and rich irony is that Hassan is a Nepo baby. He's a millionaire Nepo baby who's on all the mainstream platforms. How did he get his start in media? His uncle. And this is a guy lecturing us about generational wealth. Why don't we redistribute the Young Turks media opportunities? How about we redistribute the Twitch subscriptions? So, you know, as long as he's going to sit there and take shots from over there, yeah, inside of that woke fantasy land, they'll all be very confident in their ideology. But the reason that they don't want me to talk to Jimmy Dore, the reason they're screaming, he's a Nazi, but he said this, but he said that. Let him talk. We can talk. Let people judge. Oh, people said this. Hasan said America deserved 9/11. Now he's going to grandstand about, but 8 years ago he said race mixing was wrong. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking poser. You fucking I'm so sick of these posers, man. You know? He's a literal Nazi. He says that genetics are real. Okay, and you said that like America deserves 9/11. You want kids to get Let's just talk. We're human beings. Talk. Ugh. That's the stuff that I just legitimately cannot stand.
That's the thing where it comes to stuff like this with Hasan Piker is he's always preaching all these socialist things, progressive things, but he would not be able to even survive like a conversation about it. That's what Nick's pretty much saying here is like Nick is getting mad that people are getting mad. He just wants to have conversations. Like Nick will have a conversation with pretty much everyone from far as I know. And Hasan Piker doesn't do that. He doesn't really do debates. He doesn't really talk with the other side. Like I think he did with Charlie Kirk like 4 or 5 years ago. And then that was pretty much it. Like he doesn't want to have open conversations. A lot of commentators on the left don't want to have open conversations with the other side. They'd rather just shut their side down and censor their side rather than have an open conversation. And if you can't even defend your own side in like a debate, then your side's never going to be valid. No one's ever going to believe your side's the right side. If you think censoring the other side is the way to go, no one's ever going to believe your side. Like, did we not learn that during the pandemic, all the censorship that happened? How'd that work? So Hasan obviously is scared to even have a conversation with Nick. So that'll probably never happen. And like, it just proves that his views just aren't that good and they're never going to be that good. And another thing too, where he said Hasan's a nepo baby. Have you guys ever noticed the people that love like socialism or usually have that more woke mindset are people that like came from wealth? Like he's saying hardworking Americans don't think that stuff. But Hasan grew up in Turkey where his dad was a very important politician. So he had a made life. Then he came to America and got an easy job with Cenk Uygur, his uncle, at the Young Turks. Got popular there and then was able to build his own brand off that. Now he lives in a $2 million house in LA. He's never really had to work a day in his life. He's had everything easy and he wants to push, oh, we need this, and then he can't even defend it. Like he definitely has had everything handed to him in his life. And it's just hardworking people aren't going to align with someone like that. You know, you could argue maybe Nick's never worked a hard day in his life when it comes to a real job, but he's been censored off every platform. He's had to find different ways to spread his message. And he's gained this crazy popularity on all these crazy alternative medias. Whereas Hasan Piker is like the one person that can't get banned on Twitch for some reason. Every other person can get banned on Twitch except Hasan Piker. And he makes all of his money off just people giving him money. So it's just two different worlds. And Hasan Piker's message isn't going to connect with everyday Americans. And Hasan's just going to blame it on people clipping him out of context instead of like what his actual message is. So I have 2 clips from Hasan in response and then one more from Nick. So this clip is Hasan reacting to Nick being on the cover of the New York Times. If you guys haven't know, he was they had a New York Times article written about him and Hasan's not happy about that.
Dude, what the fuck are you doing? Man, he got a fucking glaring profile on the New York Times. Shut the fuck up, okay? There's a reason why I didn't talk about Nick Fuentes for a very long time because he was an irrelevant Nazi. He is now moving away from being an irrelevant Nazi to actually becoming a very relevant Nazi. Do you see this? A glowing profile. Sorry, not glaring. What are you talking about? It's the same reason why I addressed it the other day, because he's like gaining a lot of prominence among dumb fuck people who are not Nazis themselves and don't realize that he also is a dumb fuck Nazi. Yes, but please, will you ever stop fighting with the pigs? Man, this country is run by fucking pigs. Shut the fuck up. This country is run by pigs. What are you supposed to do in that situation? Just like hope they go away? By wish that they just fucking go away? What are we doing? As is the case with like people like Sex Pastany, they just don't go away. There's a point that you have to like.
So clearly he's upset about Nick's New York Times article. And basically he's doing the same thing he always does, where he's saying viewers are dumb and don't realize what he's spreading. And so everybody that watches Nick Fuentes clips, apparently you're all just so dumb. You can't think for yourselves. That's what Hasan thinks of you. He thinks of you as someone who's just that gullible, will believe everything you're told. But then he wants to pass that same message on his followers. Apparently his followers are the super smart ones that just blindly believe everything he says. You know, that's the message he wants to put out there. And then here's another one of him just raging.
No, we gotta, the moment is clear. You gotta sick like the ACP guys on him. Okay, that's it. You gotta get one of those like Has al Dink type motherfuckers to just like eat his ass alive, you know? Let him fight. Whatever the fuck his name is. What is it? The Albanian dude?
So now he's calling on people to go beat up Nick Fuentes because he doesn't like his views. So he's calling for violence, which I'm pretty sure is a violation of Twitch's guidelines. But since he's Hasan Piker, you know, nothing's going to happen there. But it's funny because this is just proof the left can't handle other opinions. Like, that's what it is. They can't handle people that think outside of their own thought process. So this is why you see so much violence from leftists out on the streets, because they just freak out. They don't know what to do. They have to like protest every little thing. They have to destroy buildings and communities in response to anything that they oppose. And Hasan Piker is one of the leaders in that. You know, he pushes this message that everyone is evil and you need to listen to me and all this stuff. And like this, oh, let's call for violence on Nick Fuentes because I don't like his views. Let's sick someone on him. Yeah, he literally already had a dude at his doorstep with a gun waiting for him. He's had multiple people show up at his house. Like, you don't think it's already happened to him? And that you're going to try to push that more? It's insane. So now I got Nick's response to that. His final video, Nick's final response as of right now to Hasan Piker.
I saw Hasan Piker reacted to me again. 2 days in a row. Dude, the aura farming continues. He goes on a stream today and he says, normally I didn't talk about the irrelevant Nazi Nick Fuentes because he's irrelevant. But now he's the most relevant Nazi in America. It's like, bro, aura farming for free. Thank you very much. But he's reacting to me again. And dude, it is actually deranged how obsessed Hasan is with destiny. I'm watching these like Hasan criticisms of my videos for the narcissistic supply. Like, I'm watching Hasan talk about me. I'm giggling. I'm kicking my feet. I'm watching Hasan for 20 minutes talk about me. But throughout the whole thing, he's just talking about like destiny, sex pestiny, molestiny, destiny, and I'm like, hey, isn't this supposed to be about me? Like, hey, sorry to interrupt. What the fuck does this have to do with destiny? This is about me. Or at least I thought. I watched his video yesterday and he kept talking about destiny. I'm like, this is weird. Like, who cares about that? Then today, another 20 minutes and it's like, destiny, destiny. It's like, dude, what, am I interrupting? Like, what the fuck did I just walk into? He's like, Destiny and Nick are making up talking points about me. It's like, dude, get a grip. I do not follow the left that closely. I do not care that much. But something is going on there. I don't know what I stumbled into there, but it's like, bro, just leave me out of it. Like, I thought they weren't friends or something. I don't know. I thought they were friends. They're not friends. But I'm watching this video and Hasan is like, we have to talk about Nick. He's cynically appealing to liberals, but he's still right-wing. And then he just keeps bringing up like, this is why Destiny did this. And I'm like, what? Hey, hello. This is about me, I thought. So that was super bizarre. I don't know what's going on over there, but it's like, I don't know. Really, I thought they were all on the same team or something on some level.
See, I think what Hassan gets mad about is I think Destiny reacts to Hassan a lot because they are both leftists, but like they have different views. They're like kind of split on the left. And I guess Hassan gets mad. But the thing is, like, from what my understanding is, like, Hassan doesn't really respond back to like what Destiny says a lot. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I see so many clips of like Destiny kind of just like trying to roast what Hassan says. I don't really see the reverse from like my social media. I really don't see good clips of Hassan at all. Like he's saying, he's like, nobody, people are posting just out of context bad clips of me. Like, bro, you have a huge fan base that could post good clips of you, but maybe you just don't have good clips. Like I said, this whole thing with Hassan, it really feels like he's just upset because other people are getting like good attention and he's not, and it's like he's jealous almost, and that maybe he's losing viewers. I don't know. Like David Pakman's been trying to change up his whole view because he's losing viewers and that's all he cares about is money. Hasan Piker definitely cares about money and he definitely loves to grift off of his people, and that's why he gets so many donations. So I think that's what more of it than anything. And then he's trying to jump on this wagon saying Nick Fuentes is not one of us. Nick is never claimed to be one of you guys. He talks trash on you guys all the time, but you can still be more conservative or right-leaning views or whatever you want to call it and still criticize the right. You can still criticize Trump. That's not you disguising yourself as left. I've criticized Trump plenty. I'm still more conservative. You know, it's just like, I don't get the mindset of that. Like apparently every person on the right has to fall in line. Every person on the left has to fall in line. And this really just shows you where they're at. Like it just shows you if this is how Hassan feels people on the right should be, that means he's most likely not going to criticize people on his own side. He might attack people like Nancy Pelosi and people like that are easy targets because Nancy Pelosi is probably the easiest target on the left. But if AOC says something he doesn't like, he's not going to call that out. If Bernie or if Mamdani, all these socialist people say something he doesn't like, he's not going to call that out. You know, he's going to fall in line with them because that's the side he's on. He's not going to call out. He's not going to be unbiased. And Nick will. Nick has been very critical of Trump. He's voted for him twice. He's campaigned for him. He's been at January 6th for him. And now he's critical of him. There's nothing wrong with that. You can do that as a political commentator. And honestly, it makes you look like a better political commentator when you're willing to criticize anything. You know, I respect people like that way more than people that just fall in line with one party. You might have your biased views when it comes to certain things, your values, but you should still be able to criticize. And Hassan doesn't seem to understand that. And instead, he's trying to basically scare people into watching Nick and get his following. I guess just be like, no, don't talk to that guy. Don't follow him. No, he's not one of us. And you know what would solve this, honestly, if they just had a conversation, a debate. They can go on a live stream together and talk. That would solve all this. But we know Hassan's not going to do that because Hassan is too scared of discussion. He'd rather just censor the other side. That's pretty much it for this. Let me know what you guys think about the beef between Nick and Hasan Piker. If there's anything I missed that you were hoping to see in this video. If you guys think this will keep going on. This is 2 days in a row now that they've been kind of talking to each other like through their own shows and commenting on each other, which is unusual. So let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Comment down below, like, subscribe. Catch you next time.